Stian, are you there? Can you hear us?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good seeing you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here this evening and chatting a little bit. As I just said to everybody, we are trying with this live stream, we are trying to prepare a little bit or show people a little bit what we are up to with this festival, which is completely new, never happened, and now is already postponed for a year. It's kind of an absurd and strange
Mm.
situation.
Yeah.
So when I was thinking how to introduce you, after getting a little deeper into your music, I thought that saying you're a guitarist and a singer is just not enough. So I was thinking to introduce you as a musician and an artist who is working with sound in different shapes. You think that could kind of describe a little bit the way you think and feel about music, yours in particular?
Oh, yeah, possibly. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, I think.
So you think describing this is just not, but as I said, but when listening to what you do, saying you're a guitarist and a singer, which of course you are, is still not going to make an impression of what of the way your music sounds and the way your work is. We're going to see a little bit more of what you do later on in a video you kindly gave to us to show. Um, when we say sound and working with sound, this sound you use are always very specific. Either playing solo or playing in bands, it's always like a Stian Westerhuis sound from my listening point. How do you
Thanks.
come up with these sounds? Where do they come from? How do you develop this sound language?
It's actually thanks. That's a really good question, and it's something I've been pondering myself for the last 4 years in my PhD. Um, and I think maybe with most musicians who sort of come up with their own voice, it's a product of course, like learning your instrument properly and all this stuff. But it's also you become a product of who you are combined with your own listening experiences. And in my case, I think I'm very tuned into that whole experience of music, sort of giving musical entities some sort of meaning. And in that respect, I'm not really that interested in the like being a good guitarist or being a good composer or a good singer. It's more about music as a tool of expression, and I think in that respect, um, it doesn't really sit still in a way. For me, music it's one of those things that I can't really control it. It's more or less like a hybrid of my own listening experience, and for me, real music sort of transcends the instrument and the format anyway, and the format is only there as a contextual tool. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me, I have to say. Especially you just mentioned the control factor, that it's not something that we have in our, me as a musician too, we don't have completely in control. That especially goes for improvising, right?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that I wish I'd realized a lot quicker or earlier in my life was that as you go through education and all this kind of stuff, where you learn your chops and how to play your instrument and all this sort of the development years. At least I completely forgot not maybe not why I started playing, but like what is the power of music, huh? Just like when you listen to something and you have an emotional response to it, and a lot of people, you know, are more concerned with playing their instrument in some ways or another, and some are more concerned with the other side, which is more the expressive side of it. And I'm more of the latter, and I think that's sort of diving into yeah what music means to me, like how it shapes or how my emotional responses shape music and how I play is something that I've been spending a lot of time on lately. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
again,
it's really sort of like when you talk about the uh, I suppose like the solo project, my solo project. has been like key element because it's been the one format where I've been almost dogmatically wanting to sort of shy away from anybody's advice and genre and whatever, and just try and develop my own voice. And I've been very fortunate to play with a lot of very nice people who who appreciate that sort of input. So I try to bring that same input into everything I do. And in that respect, I am a terrible guitarist. But
we're not going to go into that
Yes.
deeper. Well, actually, there's one more thing I would like to cover with the improvisation, because this impressed me so much. I read in an interview that you prepare the improvisation in a way practicing your inner hearing, like imagining music. And this I thought was very impressive, like the picture, sitting down and imagining music, which then just comes out while improvising freely. That's an enormous, like, I don't know, picture to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's something that I've been using very actively because it's also something that sort of I think it's something that you should be able to do if you're going to play freely, and it sort of prepares your whole physical body into sort of becoming a format of expressivity, if you know what I mean. So I sort of see music as a pool of musical entities which I can only manage. I can't really decide what goes into that pool, but I can manage those musical entities. And if I start managing them, it doesn't really matter if I have the instrument or not. I should be able to sort of bring that sort of physical response out there anyway. And it's something that is very comforting if you're doing a lot of solo concerts, because solo concerts are very demanding, and it's a comfort to go into that state before actually entering the stage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like becoming music before music comes out, you're sort of loading the gun in a way.
Well, there's so many things I would just love to go deeper in, but now I would actually like to play a little bit of your music and to
Right.
come into the first excerpt of the movie you sent to us. You think we should announce what's in the movie, like the piece Twin Twinkler and the collaboration with the orchestra, or shall we do that afterwards?
Yeah, well, it's up to you.
So then I would say let's just see the first excerpt of the movie Twin Twinkler, and we explain a little bit later about the piece.
All right.
Wow, that's deep. So this is a piece you obviously composed for the orchestra. It's completely not improvised. But what impresses me a lot is that how you still manage to kind of translate your sound language we were talking before to the orchestra. How was that process? How did you manage that process, bringing it to this ensemble?
It was quite a long process because it was a piece that the Philharmonic, the South Netherlands Philharmonic, commissioned. And there was also like an extension to the piece, which was commissioned by a festival in Oslo called the Ultima Festival. And the piece in its extended form is 75 minutes, which is humongous, and we did it that's been done once in a huge marble hall in Oslo with a huge PA, and it's like this doomsday horn section, 110 dB piece. It's just really, really, it's like the world coming to an end. And so this Twin Twinkler part of it is basically like the main parts of the piece. And it was when we performed it live in the Netherlands, we performed it 3 or 4 times or something. It's a bit longer than what's in the film, but we recorded I rewrote some of it, and we made a film which is like 16 minutes long. But the whole piece was when it was in its longest form was called Tote Maschinen, like Death to the Machines or Death to the Machine, and it is about the definition of human virtues and the sort of on-birth of machine learned singularity in a way, like how, not sort of meaning like death to the machine, like in the Metropolis sense, but it's more like, because machines are generally man-made, and it's more sort of death to everything that is man-made. And then you turn the definitions of human phronesis, like human virtues, around. And like in our society today, things are on a real sort of upturn about like how society in general and what is human and what is how and what is a human. It's being redefined and seen in the aspect of this sort of new singularity that will be coming in the few years. So it's all about like choice and the definition of humanity, simplification, and also about like the life form becoming nothing but metadata, basically. It's quite it's not a very upbeat piece, but it's also a very political piece, and seen in the context of Corona, it is very interesting as well, because it's the digitization of society has gone forward full throttle. Like there's a lot of development in that direction and in life in general. And here we are, sitting here talking digitally, not analog. And
so you think that this development got a push through the Corona crisis, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like the digitization and the accept of the digital life certainly has gone forward. Like with maybe a few years in development in a few weeks. But anyway, so we did this piece and we recorded it, and I wrote the whole piece. I had this sort of dogma, which was also part of this PhD that I'm doing, that I would write the whole piece without touching my instrument. And so I wrote it as I was trying to sort of dig into these this improvisational state we were talking about earlier. So I tried to write it just from that state. And I didn't write a guitar part for it, so I would just sort of force myself to be an improviser in it when we played it. Of course, there are lyrics and all this kind of stuff, but all the guitar parts were sort of left out by purpose. So, but I think that's maybe how it ended up sounding a bit like a huge guitar, and it really does in a way. So,
it really does in a way. That's true. Yeah. And then well, there are so many things. One thing came to my mind now when you were talking. Since this information, I couldn't get this information before. So that's this about the death of the machine and stuff. But still, it's in there. It's in the sounds. In the way, with the whole thing sounds. But I would like to emphasize another aspect of the whole thing. Now you did this smaller version for the film, and that's kind of a performative presentation of the whole thing, right? Which is not on stage, but like online or in whatever movies or things. Is that, do I understand that right?
Yeah, so the orchestra wanted to make a film out of it, and so I collaborated with director Dries Alkemade, which was also a very good actor. We had a really nice collaboration, and we made this film, and we've been working on it for the last few months, and we're hoping that it'll air on some formats and some TV things in the coming year. And yeah, so I think that also from an orchestra side, it's really I think it's really cool that they're actually willing to sort of try and reach out with this music in a new way, because in most cases this would be performed like we have done, 4 or 5 times, and then the piece would be gone, maybe released as a CD or whatever, But with this kind of music, it just it fits the format. I think it was like it was a nice project to finally do something on film.
Yeah, definitely it fits the sound and the whole picture and the way. That's what I was getting at, actually. The way you perform, the way you move, like all the pictures of your face and all these things kind of add to the meaning of the sound. Even though I didn't understand the lyrics, I didn't go so deep into to try to understand the lyrics. Really, I mean, you get a little bit here and there, but not all in all. But still,
Sure.
The whole impression is so strong that you don't actually. I mean, the lyrics might add another aspect.
Yeah. No, the lyrics in this are extremely political in a way as well. So I think subtitles would do it even make it even better, actually.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's so strong, like it is, and some information transports on other ways too. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's just this operatic thing as well. Like you go to the opera and you actually have subtitles to the opera, which I really love that stuff.
Well, actually, I feel like seeing the second part of the film. There's the whole film is in 2 parts. We saw a little excerpt of the first part, and now we would like to show everybody the whole second part of Twin Twinkler.
Cool.
It's time to leave behind the beautiful sun rays, the green pastures, the smell of living soil on your beautiful hands. Well, scared, I secrets intimate. All the secrets that we hold, they were us. We were told to hold down for better and for worse. 'Cause our time would come, our time would surely come. In the mornings that we had, of love, of fear, of seconds we held dear, now they're lost to the machine. We're nothing but better in a democratic ad campaign. On your words are send out your prayers for times to come. Close your door. You know there's a war out there, and you wait for the one who'll sacrifice what you cannot, and you sleep well at night, knowing you're on the right side of the constant revolution.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's very, very strong scene, really. I mean,
Nice.
I've seen it several times now, but each time I discover kind of new little things. One thing came to my mind this time One expression you use a lot when you talk about music, about your music in particular, is urgency. And I think this movie is a kind of a perfect example for what you mean with urgency. This is a music that needs to be out there.
Thanks. Yeah.
So maybe the last thing we can touch a little bit before we have to call it a day is your trio work. Actually, I listened to some of the records, and we are looking forward to hear also one of your trio productions in next year's festival.
Yeah.
And you've been working a long time with this trio. I mean, the keyboarder kind of changed, but still, it's kind of a long time collaboration. Is that something between improvising and composing, or is this more like a developing a musical environment where you improvise, you guys?
It's more like a development from my solo work, which was put into a trio setting, and it's there's tunes, but they're very, very, very simple. Like if you could play all the tunes in our sets in maybe 20 minutes, with just a guitar and singing them. But it's tunes that are so simple that you have to, like, it really demands from everybody that they find their own way into them, and they can shape them in any way or form. And it's sort of an invitation to shape the tunes in whichever way you want. And with those guys, with Ståle, who's now playing keys and piano and grand piano and synthesizers, and Alon, we've done so many concerts in not only this trio, but in different settings. Me and Alon played hundreds of concerts together with Nils Petter Molvær. And with Ståle, I've been playing with him in Super Silent and other things as well. And it's amazing. Like with this trio, I just send them some ideas and some tracks, and then we meet and we play these tunes, and 90 minutes goes past. It's one of those, like, you don't want to stop. It's just it's like the best music box. So it's a really, really nice environment, and it's extremely expressive and very sort of reactive. It's like driving a motorcycle instead of sitting in a bus. It's like super, super fast communication. And what's really nice is that it's like there's such amazing musicians that they could easily fill 90 minutes on their own. And it's just their ability to listen and to create music instead of being great musicians is just fantastic. So it's an amazing privilege to bring my material into to that setting. Is just super, and I really look forward to coming to Monheim with it. Be super, yeah.
Yeah, same here. We're looking forward to have you here. And again, I was thinking about the urgency, because the process you describe kind of gives your fellow musicians the chance to also add to this urgency from their own heart. So it's not only you as a band leader. And that's, again, it's a performative aspect. When I looked at some of your videos, you're not so much like the front man and singer, which is the kind of known picture of the guitar player singer, but often the stage is dark, and there's so many other things that are emphasized in the performance of your music than the conventional pieces.
Yeah, quite often I don't think I'm really that needed either. It's more or less the music is there anyway, and it doesn't really matter. But it's also so nice because it's like when you play with these musicians and you give them so much freedom, they become so strong, like, yourself, like when you play with people and you really have that sort of good chemistry, everybody just are so strong and they can really sort of drive over you, and I really love that. And like everybody feels confident that they can make any choice they want. And there's specifically like a few tunes which, like, we did a tour in January, and there was a couple of tunes there which one night were like piano ballads, and the next night it was like a noise wall, and it was the same energy. And I think that's so exciting, is just to have that sort of that way of sort of interpreting my own compositions as well, like trying to write something that is like a bass line for, or not like the bass, but like a bass line composition for like some chords, some melody structures, and some lyrics, and take it from there. But like quite often, we'll play a tune halfway. You know, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not. It's very respectless and respectful at the same time, and that's. It's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me, and I'm really looking very much forward to hear that live next year here. So, Stian, thank you very much for taking the time and
Hey,
being
thank
here.
you, man.
It was just great, not only talking to you here, but also like discovering more of your music. I knew a little bit, but I got deeper into that, and I have so many more questions I will ask you next year when we see.
We'll have to share a bottle of wine.
Yeah, that's the plan. Okay, thanks a lot. Take good care. All the best
You too,
wishes
man.
to you, and bye bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye.